and welcome to my reaction commentary video for The Boys Season 3, Episode 7. Let's get to it.
Do you have any idea what you've set loose? Butcher has powers, I assume, thanks to you. They've killed Crimson Countess and 7 other heroes, Maeve. The ones that survived are done. They're powerless. Soldier Boy fried the V right out of their blood somehow.
Why are you letting me live?
I used to dream of having kids with you. Can you imagine how perfect our kids would be? But I am going to harvest your eggs.
Today is the day I saw you scared.
Okay, we begin the episode. Some reveals we get are that Maeve is alive. I wasn't surprised. I didn't think... Everyone kept saying she could be dead. But I just assumed, nah, she's kept somewhere. Come on. Not gonna kill her off screen, for one thing. Of course, I was surprised they killed... what's his name? I'm so bad with names. The guy that Homelander killed because he was scheming with Starlight to kill him. I wasn't expecting him to get killed. I was expecting him to get killed. I wasn't expecting him to get killed off screen. But he did. But he was a new character of the season, and that can happen to those characters. Then we got Butcher, Huey, Soldier Boy gearing up. They are going to kill Homelander and the others, I think. Homelander said some creepy stuff. Well, he said some nice stuff, then he said some creepy stuff. Nice thing was he imagined having a family with Maeve when they were together. Not nice thing was, I'm gonna harvest your eggs while you're here, just in case you end up dead. On the bright side, we have Annie, as she wants to be called, but I'll probably keep calling her Starlight by accident. For now, as I can remember, Annie, Frenchie, and Kimiko are all together. Although Kimiko is in rough shape since she can't heal, and she got trashed twice. Yeah, they full on state the radiation somehow radiates the V out of your system. That is definitely a graphic novel or comic book thing if I've ever heard one. Sure, yeah, that makes scientific sense. Let's go with it. It makes as much sense as if you could just temporarily have superpowers and that wouldn't completely trash your human body. I'm going with it. The previous episode, Annie told the truth about a bunch of stuff about Vought, so of course they're easily covering up for now anyway. I think the funniest and at the same time saddest thing about this show is that the majority of the characters are just absolute pieces of shit with no shame. It's different in a not great way.
You didn't storm shit. Your whole Marlboro Man act, it's fucking crap. And
I warned you.
There's a scene with Black Noir where he's hiding out. He did run away to go into hiding, which is... Soldier Boy must really scare him for him to do something like that, since the Black Noir we know is a badass. He is scary, just like Kimiko. What's confusing, though, is there's a moment, just like with Homelander, a moment where he talked to himself in a mirror, almost like he had a split personality. Black Noir has a scene in his hideout where he imagines the cartoon characters on the wall are animated and around him talking to him. It's the weirdest shit. I don't understand what is happening. Why is everyone crazy this season? Now, if it's a clever show, something's going on that's either has been all this time or is doing something to these characters that would be clever. But if this is just some random shit they're doing, then I'm just super confused and I don't get it. Soldier Boy, Huey, and Butcher go after one of the guys that used to be on his team, Soldier Boy's team, and you're not supposed to look him in the eye. I presume because some kind of bad thing would instantly happen to you, it would put you under his power or something like that. And sure enough, Butcher accidentally looks him in the eye, and it causes him to be trapped in a nightmare loop. His worst nightmare lived over and over until he dies of dehydration. Lovely. I doubt he's going out this way, though, so don't worry. I'm sure he'll be awake. This is a nice excuse to give us some more Butcher backstory. And of course, with the backstory, we get the childhood. If you've seen the previous seasons, we know that Butcher was abused by his father physically and emotionally. He was a total asshat to his kid, which would explain why he's such a honestly, it's shocking someone like Butcher got a wife at some point. Because at least the Butcher we've known has always just been the biggest a-hole. And even when we met back up with his wife in season 2, she would make references to how much of a dick he could be. I'm like, how? It happens in real life too, where assholes get wives. But it's one of those things where it's like, how do you marry someone like that? My point being, it's always sad to see people who are abused end up becoming abusers and terrible people as a result of that abuse. You would always hope they could just get out one day and have a better life, but in Butcher's case, it clearly way too heavy. Soldier Boy makes one too many references, for me anyway, to the fact that he's from decades earlier. He makes a comment when he's smoking some pot. Oh, this is legal now? I used to lock people up for this. Like, yeah, okay. He makes a lot of those kinds of comments. Some of them are fine because it makes sense. A lot of things are very different. It's just too much sometimes. I feel like you don't have to make a comment about everything. And Huey, I put that scene in there for you guys because I appreciate someone. Finally, I get that he hates being normal sometimes when he's surrounded by people with powers or people that are braver than him or just have more skill than him. But it was refreshing to see Soldier Boy knock him right back down and be like, dude, come on, essentially. So that was nice.
About Starlight's alleged involvement with the human trafficking ring? Yeah. And I suppose it's pure coincidence that she opened the Starlight House for runaway teens? But we gotta face the truth, people. No matter how ugly it is, Starlight is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Love you. All right. And vote for Bob Singer. He's great. Let's hear it for Homelander.
We get marital problems with the Deep and his wife. Essentially, they have a little bit of a tiff over. She was like, I've got you this far. I made you, blah, 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 type attitude. And he was like, sure, you tell me what to say, but I sell it. Which is, well, I mean, that's true. Anyway, it all started because he wanted to bring a third into the bed, and that is the sea creature from the Herogasm Party. He is very into sea creatures. And she is not comfortable with that in the bed. So yeah, they're fighting. Then we have Butcher in his past again, showing how he, even as a young teen, he became violent like his father, already learning that behavior. And essentially, it's Butcher just being like, don't be like him. But of course, you can't change the past. Kimiko asks Starlight to help her get her power back. I assume it's because she wants to help, because right now Frenchie's pretty useless. He got high and he's just mostly sitting there doing that thing that you do when you're pretty out of it, I guess. Being mostly useless. Homelander is at a rally for that politician guy, and he mistakenly thinks he sees Soldier Boy in the crowd. Again, a very crazy person kind of thing. I just don't understand why everybody's crazy. There's also another scene with Black Noir where once again, cartoon characters talk to him and present to him a memory in cartoon form of how Soldier Boy would, during training, basically beat the crap out of them. Very abusive. Then Huey and Soldier Boy also, around that time, encounter a priest and a nun who are probably plants? Or he can somehow control them, I think? The guy they're looking for? It was a pretty funny scene, though. A-Train wakes up in the hospital and is told by Ashley that they're framing it that Soldier Boy also killed Blue Hawk, even though A-Train did, and that they were in a healing place together. They were on that healing path from the discourse between them. Also, he supposedly got a heart transplant. They were apparently the same blood type and able to have a heart transplant between them. And he was also somehow... It doesn't make any freaking sense. They somehow transplanted a heart from a dead guy. No, that's not how transplants work. It has to still be fresh from a donor. This guy was in the middle of a road. Who knows how long it took to find him. Then trying to get that to the hospital. Then get that oxygenated enough to transplant. Just hilariously unlikely. Whatever. Going with it. Doesn't really matter. Magic heart transplant. Now with some rehab, he'll be able to run again and is just perfectly fine now. That was one way to fix a character, I suppose. Kind of remembers his graphic novel type stuff. That's how things work. Magic science. Kimiko explains to Frenchie why she wants to get her powers back. She blamed her powers for the way she is. Now she realizes when she lost them that she was always that way. And so she wants the powers back because she wants to now try to use them for good. She was already kind of doing that, working with the boys, but I'm assuming she means she wants to, at least she wants to specifically be able to protect Frenchie, because Frenchie is family to her. But perhaps she'll also try to help people on a larger scale. But at the very least, she wants it to keep him safe since he almost died. Well, it wasn't because she didn't have her power, but it would have been easier to save him and protect him if she wasn't laid up in a hospital, if she wasn't kidnapped, that kind of thing. She's blaming herself. It's like a form of self-victim blaming. She's blaming herself for becoming a victim. It's not great. The heart of the matter, where she says what she says in the clip I showed, it's nice overall. It's nice overall.
This is some tough stuff, I know. But when you gave him to the Russians, you knew Soldier Boy would come back one day. We know how sensitive and scared you are.
Yes. We're here for you.
Bravery is having fear, but you do it anyway.
Time to finish what you started!
Now I'm going to be calling her two different things. Annie, aka Starlight, sneaks into Vought, the labs, gets a hold of the permanent Compound V for Kimiko, and of course stumbles upon the research for the Temp V. Surprise! Brain damage! Duh. Even before they ever took it. As soon as they said it was an R&D, I'm like, ooh, I would not take that. And then they were having brain bleeds as well and throwing up and all that crap. It was inevitable that something bad was probably going to come from this, to the shock of no one. Now Annie knows about it, though. I am super confused as to what is going on with Black Noir. Okay, him, Homelander, they're having breakdowns. Homelander's drinking cow's milk out of some desperate need, because I remember he had mommy issues in the first season since he never had a mother. He was kept in this horrible room, had a horrible childhood because he didn't really have one. But in regards to Black Noir, he's still being talked to by these cartoon things. It's so freaking... I just have no idea what's going on with him. It doesn't make any sense. This is a really stupid way for the show to tell us the story of what actually happened in the past. How do we make the audience know what happened? Oh, I know. Let's make one of our characters hallucinate cartoon characters that tell the story of his past that he already knows? What the hell? The only interesting thing that came from that is knowing what actually happened. So the reason why I thought it was strange, way back when we got the past flashback and the Supes were completely just annihilated by the enemy, I thought that was strange because they're supposed to be Supes. I thought it was almost impossible for Supes to get hurt by conventional weapons. And sure enough, they were hurt that badly. Black Noir lost his ability to speak and had a really messed up face and head in general. They fought Soldier Boy. They attacked him during the battle and dosed him, got him unconscious, but took heavy damage from it. What a bunch of shitheads. Edgar was behind it. He told them to do it. Even if you were the worst person ever, to then get your own people to turn on you, that kind of betrayal would really hurt. Not to mention the decades of torture. I also don't really understand why he would want a foreign country to have access to a soup. I thought I remembered in season 1 that was a big deal to only carefully give foreign nations abilities to make soups, to have soup terrorists. So I'm kind of confuddled on how they would ever want one of their own to be captured. Killing him makes way more sense. I don't understand why they wouldn't have just done that. Unless it's a case of we don't know how to kill Soldier Boy. Which, if that's true, then they don't know how to kill Homelander either. There's no known way. And their best hope in a fight is to drug him unconscious and lock him away, which is horrifyingly cruel. It's one of those times where you almost wish there was a way to kill somebody, because the alternative is way worse.
The situation's changed.
I thought we should have a conversation. I get called into Vogelbaum's lab for an experiment. Some shit about genetics. Vogelbaum made a kid. Born spring 1981. A boy. I'd have let you take the spotlight. What father wouldn't want that for his son?
MM continues to be a terrible father. He punches the guy that's dating his ex-wife for taking his daughter to a Homelander rally or whatever, which the ex-wife agreed. He didn't run it by her, so that wasn't okay. Punching the guy right in front of your kid and then trying to smile at her like, hey baby, everything's okay kind of look. You suck. You're a terrible father. Disappointing, because I like MM. And it's hard to like him this season when he's just a rage monster. Monster's a little excessive, but he's in need of anger management and counseling and many things. Starlight is off to save Huey again, because that's just how this works. Butcher is being Butcher, lying about something that could get Huey killed, because that's always been who he is. Homelander, at the end, getting that call. Did not see that coming. Huh. Assuming it's true that that's his genetic son, that could make things real interesting if that's true. Although, aren't they supposed to have, like, the same powers? Homelander's son has the same powers as him, as far as we can tell anyway. He's got the laser eyes at the very least. It would seem Edgar wanted Soldier Boy taken out of the picture, and maybe this is the real reason why they didn't have him killed, unless they just simply don't know how to kill them, as I also suggested. It would seem he wanted them out of the picture because he was worried they wouldn't like that Homelander was going to be the next. Essentially what I'm getting from this is that Homelander was the replacement Soldier Boy because Soldier Boy turned out to be a failure. But then they've also said that Homelander is a failure, which really tells you, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm pretty sure I've said at least close to before, Vought is the true evil here and is the true thing that needs to be completely destroyed. That was an interesting end to an episode. On feel alone, this is definitely not a 10. I'm waffling between an 8 and a 9 before I ended up with a 9. I decided 9 because just about everything in this episode was still really good. The only reason I considered 8 is because there are things in this that are clearly just the show using a device to tell us something that happened, but it makes no sense. And then the ease of which Kimiko gets her powers back as well, to me, doesn't make sense, even in its own universe rules, because as far as I understood Compound V, they dose babies. You have to get it at birth to actually have the power correctly. I forget why. I'm sure there's some bullshit scientific reason that doesn't make actual scientific sense, but makes sense within its own universe rules. But just dosing yourself again after you've been cured by radiation, which by the way also just cures you but doesn't give you any actual downside radiation effects other than a cure. It's so comic booky. Graphic novel, I know, but comic booky. That kind of logic, and with the black noir scenes, and just the always weird presentation of Homelander being crazy, to a point that no person, I feel like, would actually be sane and crazy like he is. Insanity in general doesn't flip a switch like that. So those kinds of factors factor into lower it to a 9. But it's still a really good episode. There's nothing too wrong with it besides those things. This entire season has been very good so far. And I'm looking forward to this next and last episode. Let's hope it sticks the landing, right? We'll see. Alright. Thank you for watching. And remember to stay entertained.